Hozi vizimratya vaihili Yeshua. Hozi vizimratya vaihili Yeshua. Hozi vizimratya vaihili Yeshua. Hozi vizimratya vaihili Yeshua. Yaida, 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 yaida. Ay, 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 yadadai, dadai, dai, dai, dai. Ay, ay, dai, dai, yadadai, ay, dai, dai, dai. Ay, ay, dai, dai, yadadai, dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai, dai, dum. Ay, ay, dai, dai, dai. Yai, dai, 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 yada, dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai, 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 da, da, dai, yai, dai, dai, dai. Ay, 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 ay. Yada, dai, 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 dai. Boker Tov, good morning. Sorry for the slight delay in signing on here today. Just got some decent news, actually some great news. The girls' nanny, afternoon nanny, has been struggling with a cancer diagnosis, etc., on treatment. Yesterday sent us a message saying that her blood work wasn't great, and her doctor was stopping treatment, but she was waiting for her PET scan results, and today she got them, and the great news is that there's been a significant reduction in her masses are reduced and the medication is working, though it's, messing with her liver. She's going to take a short break and reevaluate. But for now, the great news is to come. And so I was on the phone with her and got on here late. So I do apologize for that. But here we are in presence, and we are here to think about, just how life really is. My sister Sarah said last night, she texted and said something like, just when you thought the world was crazy and it couldn't get crazier, like a tsunami. And then she said it's a group chat with me, with her, with Emma, and with our best friends, whatever, the family, core family people. And she said, Larissa, time to start building an ark. And I laughed, not because I thought it was fun, I thought that part was funny, but she said, they say history repeats itself. And I said, even back from Torah time, even to say the world is so wicked, like a tsunami, it's, I don't think that there are coincidences in life. I also know that, we control and don't control weather patterns and things that go on in the world and around us. But certainly it was another one of those reminders, like that the world is some wicked place. And so today I'm thinking about Tisha B'Av approaching, but I'm also thinking about what happened in New York City, what happened in Manhattan. I'm thinking about, how a best friend's husband is a police officer and not there, but how there's all this overtime because of the safety that doesn't exist in the greatest city in the world. And so as Tisha B'Av approaches, we're thinking about this, day of mourning, like the 9 days, the 3 weeks, and the 9 days, and then Tisha B'Av starting Saturday night as a day of mourning for the destruction of the temples and the tragedies that have fallen on the Jewish people. And so I think it's important to reflect how the themes of the solemnness of the approach to Tisha B'Av, and Tisha B'Av, of course, resonates with the current challenges of the world, especially, whatever it was 2 days ago, especially in the light of the recent events that happened, attack in New York City. Tisha B'Av marks the destruction of both the first and second temples in Jerusalem, but it also reminds us of the many instances in Jewish history where violence and hatred and division tears apart or has torn apart the community. The destruction of the temple, in the traditional understanding, is it represents loss of spiritual and communal unity. Our connection to God and each other became weakened, and the temple was no longer the central place for both physical and spiritual peace. And so it became a symbol of what happens when forces of hatred and division go unchecked. In the wake of the most recent events, we ask ourselves, like, what is our role in healing the wounds? How do we respond to the hatred and division that still plague us in our everyday? In our sacred text, we're reminded that the world is a reflection of the actions of its people. The world is a reflection of the action of its people. The Zohar teaches us that when the people of Israel are united in peace and love, it brings down blessings for the entire world. I mean, this sounds like such a simple concept. When the people of Israel, when the Jewish people are united in peace and love, blessings flow to the entire world. But when we turn on one another, when violence and hatred dominate our interactions, it's as if the center of the spiritual world has been destroyed once again. The connection, everybody feels like approaching Tisha B'Av. The connection between the destruction of the temple and the suffering caused by violence and hatred, especially relevant in our time now, of course. We're living in a world where anti-Semitism is rising. It's always present, right? But it continues to build. And it's building in different ways. It's not one singular group hating on Jews. It's happening everywhere. In tiny towns and small villages, all the way to the global scale. It's also increasing in ways where the violence and the hatred has become more frequent and also more brazen, where divisions within our own communities seem to grow wider with each passing day. So I've said before, and this is something that didn't happen yesterday, but I went in with the mindset that it was going to happen. I've said so many times where, Orthodox Judaism doesn't work for me. Maybe doesn't work for many of us. But if we don't like our own people, or we can't, take it back. If we can't play in the sandbox, well, they don't usually want to play with us, but if we can't accept, not tolerate, if we can't accept our own people, right, with the same tag, Jews, then why should someone else outside of Judaism accept us? Any one of us, regardless of where we are on the spectrum of Judaism. Yesterday, I did a funeral, and there was only one. There are two living relatives, but one of them is in a nursing home and wasn't able to come out. So this was a 103-year-old woman who was a nurse during World War II. She was already in America. She came from Poland prior to the war. She served in the army, and she was a registered nurse, and she worked in the operating theater, as it was called. And so she had one niece who was at the funeral. But I received a phone call when I checked in with the niece to get the information about her aunt. She said, Rabbi, I just want to let you know that I mean, I've been learning so much about my aunt that I didn't know, but in her building that she lived for 30 plus years, she did daily studies with this Orthodox family and group of people that also lived in her building, and they're coming to the funeral and they want to speak and share about her, and the rabbi will be there. And so I thought to myself, oh, great, this is going to be wonderful. Could already know where this is going. I can't sing, I can't do this, I can't do that, because the truth is they're not going to accept me as a female rabbi. I've had it before, I've done it before, where it's been very uncomfortable, but I know who I am and I make it work, and I'm not, I'm not afraid of it. I just know that it's going to be uncomfortable. And so I arrive at the cemetery, and here they are. The rabbi wasn't there, but there was an looking Orthodox, someone from Borough Park, and his wife, Shandy, Mr. Schwartz and Shandy, fine. And then there were a mixture of a minion of men who were all have labeled themselves Orthodox Jews, but of all different looks. Let's say the regular young Israel kind of guys to people that were modern Orthodox, and others that looked like they were wearing traditional Orthodox, ultra Orthodox garb. I get out of the car. I talk to them, very nice. Them shaking hands with the men, of course. The women, only two women were there, very lovely. Fine. We go to the grave, and they start taking over. They're shoveling first. But they're asking me for the rabbi's manual, what things need to be done. So, in fact, it was my moment to say and to shine and to feel like, wow, even though they want to lead it, even though it's not going to be good enough if I do it, they still need me. It was a reminder of how we still need each other, that we learn from one another, even though we're on different spiritual realms within the same faith tradition. And it doesn't always happen this way. Of course, I know it. I've experienced it. We've all experienced it to some degree. But it's our responsibility to mend the divisions in our own communities that we see each and every day. Sorry, just listening. Hazel screaming. Okay, not sure what's going on there. She's not feeling well. On Tisha B'Av, some of us fast. That's the practice. Some of us don't. There's no yes, you have to, or no, you don't. We reflect on, and we'll talk about this. I'm not sure when our service will be, but I guess Rabbi Jan and myself will be figuring that out. But as we reflect leading up to Tisha B'Av, as we reflect on what's going on in our world, let's also reflect on our responsibility today. Let us think about what we can do to build bridges rather than walls. How can we combat the hatred that seeks to divide us? As Jews, we remember that Tisha B'Av is not just mourning the past, but it's a call to action in the present so that we're not mourning in the future. Dedicating ourselves to fighting for a world of peace, dedicating ourselves to understanding a world in which we can thrive, where violence and hatred, the kind that we've seen even in our home city, for those of us that are New Yorkers, can be replaced with love and unity and justice. The tragedy in Manhattan reminds us that we need to rebuild even our own selves, spiritually and physically. The kindness that we extend through community solidarity, through standing up against and standing up for in the face of injustice. The Talmud teaches that each person is a world unto themselves. Today is Earth Day. Today, I'll show the picture. I mean, I'll post it, but I'll show you a picture. just because. Ellis likes to, as you know, do it. If he's committed to doing it, he's doing it. So here is the boy. Let me see if I gotta look at the screen for you to see it. Here's the boy on Earth Day with his shirt saying, "Protect me." Part of protecting the earth is protecting one another. Part of protecting the earth is rebuilding the world through acts of kindness and solidarity, working together where such attacks are unimaginable. A colleague, not a colleague, an esteemed, I mean, she's a colleague, she's a Jewish educator, a musician, posted yesterday that one of the people that were killed in Manhattan, she went to college with her. And not just because she's a Jew, we're mourning, but for the police officer, for the two women and the other man that were killed just senselessly. There needs to be a time where attacks like happened in Manhattan and happen all over or so far out of our reach that they become unimaginable. Right now, they're unimaginable because how could this happen? But we imagine them every day because they are part of our existence. And how sad and how troubling that is. As we reflect, let us think about mourning, but also let's think about resolve. Let's think about our renewed commitment to reduce the suffering of destruction. We talk about destruction of the temple, but we're talking about destruction of our world in this moment of humanity, the hatred and the violence. And let's pray and let's work and let's advocate for justice and fairness and love and peace. We are one human family, one heart of abundant love. Thank you for being with me this morning. Alisa, Lita, Linda, Suze, Beth, Amy, whoever else is watching that didn't check in because I see the number, but I don't see the name. I'm grateful to be with you. Let's continue to push forward way past Tisha B'Av to a place where we can find wholeness for ourselves and for the greater world. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. Mrs. Broccolione. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. Od Avinu Chai. Jennifer, there you are.